Hello, YouTubers. Welcome to another very, very late Wednesday night edition of Trends in the Housing Market. I got my live chat up and ready to go. So if you guys want to share something with us, please go ahead. You can look down at the live chat if you want to add to the discussion. And if it's valid and good, I'll add it to the show. It's Wednesday. It's May 11th, 10th-ish, 11th. We're approaching the midnight hour. And the show is doing really well. I got a lot of people viewing, a lot of people commenting, a lot of good feedback. And I'm really happy doing this. I'm really happy creating awareness because a lot of people tell me, well, what's your problem? You own a house now. Why are you worried about... No, I'm worried because I have kids. And I want my kids to be able to one day own their homes and one day have a future and one day be part of something, community and stuff like that. Because this is not what's going on anymore. Things are going downhill real fast. Broadcasting out of Merritt, BC, it is I, Mike Martins. And thank you so much for coming and being here for another special edition of Trends in the Housing Market. I'm going to try and be live every Wednesday night at 9-ish, 10 p.m., 9-ish to 10 p.m., depending what time it takes me to get set up. And I'm also going to go live on Friday nights or Saturday nights? Should I do Friday nights or Saturday nights? Comment below. Let me know what nights are better for you guys. I think Saturday nights I could do 10 p.m.-ish, 11 p.m. Western time, so it's pretty late, depending where you're watching the transmission. But thanks for sending me articles. I've got bombarded with... close to 170 articles in the last week alone. And it's really hard to pick through them and sift through them. I find some on my own too, sifting through the internet, trying to find some of the, what's good to read, what's worth reading right now, and what's happening in the housing market. And it's a trend. It's a big trend. And I want to put this out there because, like I said, you could dedicate an entire office building to housing market. You could actually dedicate an entire office building with people working round the clock, shift work, 24 hours a day, with 24-hour parking for people in different parts of all the office buildings, documenting, finding sales, this, that, crashes, this, up, this, down, this going broke, people going broke, this, that. There's so much surrounding the housing market. It's beyond what you guys could ever imagine. Max Buchanan's here. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Hope you're doing okay, bud. Thanks for commenting. Now, let's start with... everybody, a couple of people already commenting. Now, let's start with blogs. There's a blog here. It was sent by one of my subscribers that follows me on this channel. And risk ahead, caution, home capital, blah, blah, blah. Great page. Here it is. I'm showing it to you guys right here. What this page is dedicated to is the Canadian housing market. And basically, you post your own blogs up there. I think it's a fantastic page to get the community together, to actually make people understand or make people, just to create the awareness people need. Because I don't know why, and I don't understand how it's even possible that a majority of the population has no idea of what's going on around them when it comes to the housing market. I mean, people are going to realize this and then hit a brick wall and say, whoa, a house is how much? But yeah, so this is a blog. The website, the domain name is CanadianHousingBubble.com. And I'm pretty sure you could post something on here if you're from New Zealand or Australia, because a lot of the articles that I do read, if I'm reading about Australia, they're talking about Canada. And if I'm reading about New Zealand, they're talking about London. And if I'm talking about Toronto, they're talking about San Francisco. So the correlation and the connection is always there with other, and they're always comparables, and they're always English-speaking countries. And that is Commonwealth, or whatever you want to call it, is being affected because of its open business or free trade or free market or capitalism, whatever you want to call it. It's stealing our children's futures, our next generation's futures, A majority of the millennials, a majority of people right now are cooked. They don't know it, and a lot of them aren't experiencing it yet because they're either too young or they're still living with their parents until reality starts to hit. Imagine piling on a couple of thousand people per month that are realizing that they're bought out. At the end of the year, you're stuck with a couple of 100,000 people that realize that they come to grips they can't buy. So a majority of them either leave or they end up sitting and staying in the same city that they're in. You know what I'm saying? Now, yes, somebody just commented right now, Peter Newfield, basically said, China has a huge housing bubble, don't forget. Yeah, of course. I'm talking about, I'm not just picking on the Commonwealth. I'm just saying that the Commonwealth, that's happening to the Commonwealth because of the capitalism and the open trade, or, free trade and all this that's happening. You know what I'm saying? And it's destroying and it's stealing people's futures. Next generation screwed. Imagine 2 generations down the road, how, if this is not corrected, how screwed 2 generations would be down the road. Unless McDonald's or big big fast food chains are going to start paying employees $50-$60 an hour to try and even get them to pay rent. Anyways, so I got lots of comments coming in. So, been hearing that some houses are getting no offers, and houses are selling way below. So what happens is, you got okay. He's got an example here. A house on the street was $1.592 million in March, and the same exact model house, 10 houses down, sold for 1.48. And I have never seen a market shift like this. Still, $1.48 million. You could have bought 1.5 of Chuck Norris's home. Chuck Norris was trying to sell a house in Atlanta, gorgeous home with a pool, 10 bedrooms. He was asking $1 million. He got $800,000 for it. 1.48 million. Unless, Jake, are you living in Beverly Hills, buddy, or somewhere? Are you living in Santa Barbara? Are you? Because if you're living there, then I could see houses going. I could see houses going for that much because you get land, you got nice views, you're close to LA County, you're close to where all the buzz is. I mean, if you're just on a regular back road in Vancouver, houses shouldn't cost that much. It's beyond. And now people are coming to grips saying, oh, I can never afford to buy, and people are massaged to believing that they'll never own now. Anyways. So Jake's telling me that he's hearing it from realtors, sorry. And he's saying the same house was like $450K in 2009. And that's still high. Still high, because that house in Arizona is probably like $110,000. Anyways, I'm not going to go there. Let's get to some articles. I got some really good articles that I got to get these to you. I got to get these out to you guys. You guys have to start sharing some of this stuff and get this out there and make this go viral. This is a really good one. I want to bring it up to the top. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but let's go to London. London real estate. The era market notched a 4th straight month of record sales in April. This is from a few days ago. It's from the London Free Press. And it's Remax. Look at that. The average London area price 2-story home, the most expensive kind, was topped at $500,000 mark for the first time. Another sign of sizzling sellers market that's running on a tear. New figures released Sunday that London Street Thomas Market is still riding a hot streak, with April 4th straight month of record sales. Last month, 1,220 homes were sold in the area, up 14.2% from last year. In the London St. Thomas Association, realtors reported so far this year, sales are up a whopping 25% compared to the first 4 months of 2016. The average year-to-year sale price for homes is also shooting up, $325,286. It's up 16.6% from last year. Out-of-town buyers, especially from the Toronto area, bidding wars and listings sold almost as soon as they hit the market have become features in the market, the likes of which few have seen before. But industry observers say that there's still a lot of potential in local market because the average price in London Street London St. Thomas, sorry, is still well below the Canadian average and just more than 1/3 of the Toronto average. Yeah, it's affordable, it's accessible, and it's great lifestyle, said L-Star President Jim Smith, adding the increase in sales and prices was inevitable because London area market offers a lot of value. The average price in London St. Thomas for a two-story home hit $506,000 in April, eclipsing the $500,000 mark threshold for the first time. So I wanted to show you that parts of London are starting to get hit with this. And it's basically a problem. And so it reaches that, but who's buying them, right? Who's buying these homes? Now, if anyone could comment below, if you don't mind, if someone could comment in the comment section, if anyone could give me a rough estimate on how many empty homes are in London, or maybe in England itself, if anyone could comment below, I'd really appreciate that. And let's continue here. Let's go to the next article. So I wanted to hit up on London because somebody commented last time and told me, Mike, you're not talking about London, and there's a big problem here in London, and the student loan debt's out of control. People don't know what to do. People that are moving, they're moving away, and a lot of people are moving back in with their parents, from someone that basically told me the other couple of days ago. So I will add London to the housing crisis, and yes, it's part of the Commonwealth, and they do speak English there. Let's continue. It's a new article here from Toronto. Toronto homeowners list detached homes for sale at record pace. So now there's a runoff. Is there a runoff in Toronto? Are more people taking their money out of the bank than the bank has to give? This is what looks like it's happening with housing. Are more people selling than what people are buying? Oh no. Is there going to be a runoff on the housing market in Toronto? Toronto homeowners list detached homes for sale at record pace. Toronto homeowners list detached for sale at a rapid pace, with new listings starting over 61% last month. Last month we were talking about how they've reached this huge peak. They've reached the highest. They beat Vancouver, and now it's gone up, soared over 61% last month. You know who that is? That's the flippers that got in and said we're gonna buy and we're gonna sell the second the market gets hot. Boom. People are panicking, and this is what's happening. People are freaking out. Let's scroll down here. April saw a rush of homeowners looking to cash in on optimistic buyers, and detached segment was no exception, according to the Toronto Real Estate Board. TREB. It's almost like tribe. Listing of detached homes surged a multi-year high despite the flood of inventory. Prices continue to increase as sales continue to decline. I mean, once Toronto goes, everything in the GTA will start going with it. Believe me, Oakville, Mississauga, Brampton, Markham, Scarborough. Detached homes in Greater Toronto GTA are seeing a large price increase from last year. A benchmark detached that economists, a typical detached home with luxury bias removed, is now $1.042 million. This represents a massive 33.3% increase from last year in the proper city of Toronto. The benchmark of detached rose from 1.2 million despite an increase in listings. Buyers are bidding aggressively for the current inventory. Average prices are seeing steep climbs as well, just not as high as the benchmark. The average detached sold TREB board was 1.2 million, 24.3% increase from last year. Breaking that down from the 416 saw the average sale price of 1.5 million increase from last year. The suburbs, aka now the 905 area. 905 is Mississauga, Brampton area. Oakville is 905. And 305 is Miami, by the way, just in case you need to know. Saw an average detached sale come into $1 million bucks to 24.5% increase. And this is it right here. This is the graph. Look at this, man. Look at it. I mean, I talked about this look at it from 1 year. Watch this. January 2017. Look at this right here. Oh, sorry, guys. See that? So it's like that. Yeah. I got a house. Yeah. Look at that. Holy smokes. Imagine, like I was talking about, imagine you bought in 2015 in Toronto. Your house probably would have gone up $300, $300 to $500 a day. Wow. That's crazy. Detached sales declined. Sales of detached units declined across TREB. The whole board saw 5,715 sales in April, 5.1% decline from the same time last year. The 416 saw sales drop more rapidly with just 1,268 sales, 8.7% decrease from April 2016. The majority of sales were 905, where 4,447 sales occurred, a 4.1% decrease. Could this be? Could this be? The match that hits the spark that hits the fuel? Could this be the cigarette butt that rolls into the unseen spillage of gas? Could this be the dumbass smoking at the airport? Smoking at the gas station? Could this start it? We don't know. But prices did go up way too fast. 30% in a year is beyond anything you could ever get in investments. Like, it's beyond. It's a couple of $100 a day. Maybe more. Maybe $200-300 a day, depending on what kind of property you have. So, anyways, Ann M is saying, I think I'm still good because I have a fixed mortgage loan. Having a fixed, a mortgage is, the problem is if it's fixed, is it a total fix? Like, I've been hearing about people taking 25 and 30 year fixed rates. Then I've been having, and a lot of people take a 4 and 5 year rate with to renegotiate terms after the 5 year term is up on a 30-year amortization. So a lot of people take, and she's going on to say, whoever has a variable rate loan is screwed. And I've been talking about this in my videos, old videos. I've been talking about variable rate mortgages. If the rates go up, yeah, you're toast. If the rates go up, you get a variable rate mortgage because you're hoping the rates will eventually go down. And if you buy in the market when the rates are a bit high, you get a variable rate when the rates are a bit high to try and see if the rates go down. But when the rates are down and you have a variable rate, there's nowhere else to go but up. They don't go to negative interest rates. They won't go to negative interest rates. They can't go to negative interest rates. Anyways, let's go. So yeah, so she's saying she's got a 20-year, so that's good. You can have it paid off before then. So let's continue here to the next story. This one here, still in Canada. Spectre of empty houses haunt Canada's two major expensive housing markets. So back again to what I say. All these homes are left empty. Canada's two most expensive cities for housing are seemingly haunted, not by ghosts, but by the specter of empty homes. Some believe that vacant homes exist on a widespread basis, bought up by a stream of investors so consumed by speculation or just a safe place to park their money. And I've been saying, parking money. What better place to park your money? Park it in real estate. Especially if the money's dirty, park it in real estate. Once you sell it, and if they ask no questions, once you sell, and boom, you got clean money right there, deposited in the bank account. Pay the taxes, pay the 10, pay the 20, pay the 30,000%, like $30,000 taxes or whatever you have to pay. It's worth it. Anyways, and that's what's happening, and this is why this is happening. Some believe that vacant homes exist on a widespread basis, bought up by a stream of investors who park their money, that they can't even bother to rent the properties in markets in where the going rate can easily top $3 a square foot. The vacant unit theory has enough backers that the City of Toronto demanded the power to levy extra tax on vacant home property owners, something that was granted by the Ontario government in April, and one that follows a similar path laid out in Vancouver by the British Columbian government in 2016. It's the vacant unit red herring, said Patricia Arsenal, Executive Vice President of Research Atlas Group Lot, in a note about the data that seems to indicate that there were as many as 66,000 vacant units in Toronto. 66,000? So that's just vacant units in Toronto in 2016. That's equivalent to 5.6% of the city's total stock of 1.2 million private dwellings. 66,000? Multiply that by an average 3 people per unit. That's how many people are misplaced or displaced that are having troubles finding home or can't. That's phenomenal. So the question is, what is the unintended consequences of a vacancy tax? So I don't know. Comment below. I want to know what you guys think about this one. This is a big one, and I'm just kind of surprised that a lot of this isn't getting that much publicity. Like, why isn't it getting publicity? I mean, if this was in the 1980s, okay, and there was 66,000 vacant homes in any major city in any Commonwealth country, this will be all over the news. This will be all over the place like stink on a pig. It'd be everywhere. This would be like the headline of headlines. This would be the greatest story broken by whoever breaks the story. And everyone sits back and says 66,000 empty units. Oh, that's okay. That's normal. How is this normal? Housing is used to live in, and then you build your empire around. Yeah, anyways, let's continue here. This is a good one. I like this one. Good luck buying a home in this housing market. It's going to be a tough house hunting season for buyers, but it's practically brutal for those in Seattle. Don't know if you caught my series a few, 5 or 6 weeks ago, when I was talking about Seattle is flying in investors into the city, and Seattle is also creating buyer pamphlets or flyers or information booklets in foreign languages for foreign investors to come in and feel accommodated. And that's what's happening. It's going to be a tough house. Okay, let's go continue here. Wow. Competition and prices have been rapidly rising in real estate markets across the country. Seattle buyers are facing a major obstacle to landing their dream home. Open houses are jam-packed. Bidding wars. Hey, let's start bidding wars. Are the new normal, and homes are selling for well above asking prices. Home prices in the city have seen double-digit growth for more than a year, according to the S&P CoreLogic Case-Shiller Home Price Index. Wow, that's a tongue twister. This craziest market I ever seen, said Kyle Moss, a real estate agent with Rentford who was born and raised in Washington. Sorry, I shouldn't have said it like that because he's not quoting it. I'll quote what he says here. We have a sea of very, very well-qualified buyers coupled with the lowest amount of homes for sale. It's a serious problem. Look north to Vancouver and see what happened. One reason is that the city has been flooded with new residents, thanks to a strong economy. And the Seattle area is home to giants like Amazon, Microsoft, as well as their other big employers like Starbucks that tend to pay well. If someone is making up to enough to qualify for a $700,000 to $800,000 or $1 million mortgage, that is always going to drive up housing prices, said Moss. Many of the buyers in the market are first-timers, according to the local agents, but there's also been an increase of foreign buyers paying all cash. Wow! I think this happened in a place called Vancouver. The city has an inventory problem for about 4 years, according to Sam DeBoard, managing broker of Seattle Homes Group. Regulations and geographical barriers make it hard for builders to put up new homes. We are falling behind tens of thousand units a year and have been for several years, he said. The basic law of supply and demand can't be ignored. That is what is the heart of this housing crisis. It's certainly not impossible to become a homeowner in Seattle. It just takes a lot of time, a thick skin to deal with rejected offers, and a little creativity. So, is the article here if you guys want to read it all. I've been telling you guys, they've been creating pamphlets or information guides in foreign languages to get investors to come in. Flying in investors. I mean, this is big. This is big because it's because later when those okay, I'll give you an example. Let's say 66,000 units empty. It's really 98,000 in Toronto. Like, just when there's no hookups, when no one's paying internet, when no one's paying cable, no one's paying water for those units, when no one's paying taxes are being paid, but I'm saying when there's no people living in there to work to pay tax, because it's the middle class that supports the rich and it's the middle class that pays the poor. So if the middle class can't no longer function or work or have to drive 2 hours to get into work, they're just going to leave. And this I left my city. I was fed up. I couldn't take it anymore. I left. And you know what? I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Watch my Living the Dream series. So, very good article. Let's move on. Look at this. Someone just messaged they're in the Bay Area. Yeah, Tyson, yeah, thanks for joining us. Borrowing in ultra low rates. Yes, it's free money. Get your free money. Sign right here on the dotted line. Don't worry. It's just people are not worried about, what if I can't pay this back? People are so sure of themselves that they're like, I could pay this back. Of course I could pay this back. I could pay this back. And I could pay those 3 credit cards and line of credit. And then I could get a second job to pay my car payment. And then I could work on the weekends at the pizza shop delivering pizzas to pay off my student loans. Hey, you know what? After a couple of months, you start to crack. And this is not normal. You know, they might have to add an extra 6 hours to a day to help compensate for the housing crisis and to give people more hours in a day to work. So they could work more hours. Like, it's crazy. Anyways, let's go to the Bay Area. Faced with sky-high prices, home buyers look to leave Bay Area. This is a good one, people. Let me zoom in a bit to this. Okay, here we go. Hunting for a house that's affordable, nearly 1 in 5 home seekers living in the Bay Area is looking outside the region. That's what happened in Vancouver, where people from Vancouver started looking at Langley, Chilliwack, like a 1.5 hour commute. Toronto, people started looking at Oakville's too expensive. Mississauga is just on par. So people living in Toronto have it pretty bad. Unless they go up to Scarborough or other areas up that way. Maybe it's a little bit cheaper in Toronto. But so that's the conclusion of a new analysis by Redfin. The broker's inaugural migration report places that San Francisco metropolitan area, including San Jose and Auckland, in the number 1 position among markets where the house hunters are most likely to leave. The brokerage sampled nearly 1 million users who looked for homes in the 75 U.S. metro areas during the first 3 months of 2017. Those 1 million users included about 110,000 in the San Francisco metro area, out of whom 21,300, 19.4%, looked outside the region where the cost of homes isn't so prohibitive. The most common in-state destination for those heading towards the exits was Sacramento, while the most common out-of-state destination was Seattle. But Seattle's crazy right now, so, I mean, fast-growing coastal cities may be generating a high-paying jobs, but they haven't created enough budget-friendly housing to keep pace, and that's a problem. The price of real estate and desire for home ownership is compelling many to uproot and seek housing in more affordable communities. So here it goes again, back in the Bay Area. And you know what? It's happening. And it's happening along the coasts, all the coasts, from Vancouver all the way down to San Diego, you know. Let's continue. Let's go to New Zealand. Most renters would struggle to afford a home, new government measure shows. This is so... Again, New Zealand. New Zealand's entering its winter right now, Southern Hemisphere, and I bring this up in every show because I've had several people message me to tell me that they're living in vehicles. There's one guy living in a U-Haul. There's another family of 4 that's living in tents. Not a tent city, but they're living in a tent on private property. So legally they could be there. And a lot of people are renting out tents in backyards and bunks in New Zealand. Bunks. And it goes back to the article that I freaked I think it was last week's show, last Saturday. I think I read an article that I was explaining to everybody that there's a problem in New Zealand where there's people caught having 45 people to a house, 8 people per room. So people are like, wow, I thought that only happened in other countries. Like it wouldn't happen in a rich country. No, it's happening. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and then Clayton Campbell, I think he's from New Zealand, commented, New Zealand is effed for people on lower incomes. And yes, and it is, because the thing is, it just goes back to basic, like, trends in the market, in the markets. If you don't have the middle class paying the tax, they won't be supporting the rich and they won't be feeding the poor. So once the middle class goes, I think it becomes working poor. And then I think the working poor has nothing to lose. You know what I'm saying? And when they have nothing to lose, they start pushing back. And that's eventually what's going to have to happen, is because people will just start pushing back when they got nothing to lose. And it's scary because everybody wants a free market, but everybody wants it to be fair. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, let's continue here. 4/5 of potential first-time buyers cannot comfortably afford a house in New Zealand, according to new government measure. The picture is even worse in Auckland, with 86% of renting households not making enough to meet rocketing housing prices, up from 74% from 2003. 74%. So if you dumped $1 million in this housing market in 2003, you'd be up 74%. Holy crap. The long-delayed housing affordability measure, HAM, was finally released today after almost 2 years of delay. The renting households HAM looking is roughly a third of the population. Look at this. Look at the benchmark. Look at this. This is nuts. Look at Auckland. Holy. There's Canterbury. Wellington. Wow, this is... So New Zealand is in a lot of trouble right now. I've gotten quite a few people message me from New Zealand telling me. I spoke to one guy that works in a high school. He's been teaching there he's teaching history, and he's been teaching there. I remember that he wrote me a long letter, like a long comment, and he told me that he's been living 2 blocks away from the school in a van. It's gotten so bad. His rent went up 3 times, and then the 3rd time it went up, he went to go live with a friend, couch surfing, and with his last, I think, $2,000 or $3,000, he ended up buying a van, and he's been living out of his van. And he's telling me he gets direct deposit and payments, so he's got his debit. So, he goes out, buys his food, does his shopping, takes care of his himself. And he told me that he showers in a gym. So he bought a membership in a gym for the year, and he does a little workout, so it doesn't look obvious. And he told me that he showers in the gym, shaves, gets dressed, and does his thing. And he said that he's very, very, very choked out. Very choked. He said he was very drowning. And he doesn't have major debts. It's just he just can't afford to buy. Not to buy. Can't afford to rent. Because there's no vacancy. And he's working for a good school board, apparently. And he wants to stay. He loves his kids. And this is pretty bad. I don't know what to say. Like... Sorry, guys, I got sunburn. I don't know what to say, and I don't know why this is happening. Because, there should be some sort of measure. Because everyone thinks, this is normal. Oh, yeah, teacher, he's been teaching, 10 years? Yeah, he's sleeping in a van. That's good. That's really good, It's like, it's normal, It's like people. Okay, let's say I'm flying on a plane. Let's say I'm on a plane on an airline. Okay, and I find out that my pilot works part time at Taco Bell uh, to help pay off his student loans or subsidize. But he works at Taco Bell and he's a pilot. That would scare the crap out of me to fly on a plane. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to say, is the person having enough sleep? Why is he working two jobs? Why can't he afford to live as a pilot? He can't. Can't. I spoke to a pilot and spoke to him personally when I was in Kamloops. And I'm not going to say who he flies for, but he's been flying for 22 years. And he has to work part-time at a furniture store. And he's a pilot. He's on call. I think he's on 18 days. I think he told me he's 18 days and 5 days off, and then 18 days, 5 days off. Can't afford it. He's a pilot. He's got to work in a furniture store. I'm not going to mention anything because he recognized me. He's like, "Hey, aren't you Mike Martins? You know, I watch your show, dude." And yeah. But people look back and take a step back. This is normal. I don't know. Let's continue here. Will Australia's budget finally cool housing prices? Don't bet on it. So I was kind of hoping. I've been watching the what's been going on with this last couple of weeks, and I was hoping that they will stop kicking the damn can down the road and come to terms that this is not normal and start producing things like he did in the 70s and 60s and create jobs and exporting. But no, let's pin everything to housing. Let's pin the whole damn economy to housing. You guys think Venezuela's crazy? You think Venezuela's crazy for pinning all their revenue on oil? I think pinning on housing is even crazier, because at least oil you can export, and eventually oil one day will bounce back. And look what's happening in Venezuela. People are eating animals in the zoo. You think I'm kidding? Look it up. It's on record. Okay, fine. Let's take another step back. So pinning it on homes, an economy on homes, is anyone else seeing the catastrophe, the house of cards that this is being built on? I would rather pin my economy on oil, even if it tanks, than on housing. Because oil is a commodity. It could be exported. It could be sold. It could be sold in any currency. You could basically hoard it for a while until the prices go up and then sell. But housing? You're pinning your economy on housing? So let's continue with this. Australia's 2017-28 budget attempted to address housing affordability issues. Australia's long-suffering wannabe homebuyers were likely to be disappointed by the housing affordability measures in the country's 2017-2018 budget, analysis said. John Flavel, CEO of Australian mortgage broker network Mortgage Choice, told CNBC's Squawk Box on Wednesday that the out of nine budget measures aimed to addressing the housing affordability. At least 3 might actually drive up demand. What we've got is a series of irrelevant pops and fizzles, as opposed to the Big Bang, Flavel said. The relatively tepid housing measures include increasing a capital gains tax discount for affordable housing investments, offering low tax option for first-time homebuyers, trying to save up a home deposit, and efforts to encourage seniors to downsize their home. Encourage seniors to downsize their home? You know, I'm sick and tired of those commercials. I'm working out, I'm in the gym, and I'm working out. And it's like, are you 65 and you own your home? Well, we'll give you money for whatever you want. Just come over here and sign here. You're 65 and over. You should get your equity working for you. What about leaving it for your kids? What about leaving it for your grandkids? What about if seeing what's going on in this, protect your kids or your kids' grandkids' future? Anyways, home prices have loomed large in Australia's political landscape as affordability plunge, vexing monetary policymakers We're struck between a rock and a slow economy and the hard place soaring of housing prices. In April, home prices in Sydney were flat on month, but up 16% 1 year, while Melbourne prices rose 0.5% on month and 15.3% on year, according to data from CoreLogic. This is nuts. I'm sorry for all the folks down in Australia, man. I really feel for you guys. I don't know what to say, man. It's like, if you guys think it's bad in Vancouver or it's bad in Toronto, Australia is like $1.1 million for a one-bedroom condo. I've seen it. With no parking, by the way. No parking. So, let's move on. So, I got this good one here. This next one's really good. You guys are going to like this one. Zero Hedge. It's Zero Hedge. It's my man Tyler Durden. Okay, it's my man Tyler Durden. For Zero Hedge. Half of Canadians have $200 or less in savings. Yes. 2 months ago, when quoting the CEO of a cell phone insurer Assurant, who appeared on Bloomberg TV to discuss business trends, one of his quotes caught our attention. The reality is, half of Americans can afford to write a $500 check. Yeah, that's huge. Half. Kloberg said, "We decided to look into the CEO's claim about the woeful state of the U.S. finances. What we found is that, according to recent bank rate survey of 1,000 adults, 57% of Americans don't have enough to cover to a mere $500 of unexpected expenses." What if you get one of those surprise cell phone bills? You know, one of those really cell phone bills that come. You know when you get those surprises and you get your cell phone thing in the text, or you get it in the mail. It's like, what happens now? You know, that won't even, $500 won't even cover that. Turns out the CEO was right, and while that may appear dire, it is a slight improvement from 2016, when 63% of U.S. residents said they wouldn't be able to handle such an expense. That's harsh. The bank rate survey finds echoed research published last year by the Federal Reserve, which found that 46% of respondents said that they would be challenged to come up with even less, or $400 to cover an emergency expense, and would likely to borrow or sell something to afford it. It's like people are having to buy time now. It's like pay as you go life. Life is becoming pay as you go. The average expense of $2,782, or almost 7 times higher the rate the feds have hypothetical $400 surprise bill. How does the stunning statistic compare to some of the other developed nations? It turns out that the state of half the U.S. finances, deplorable as it may seem, it's positively shining, not to mention twice as good, when compared to the country's neighbor to the north, where recent Lipsis survey on behalf of accounting firm MNP found that more than half Canadians are living within $200 per month of not being able to pay their bills or meet their debt obligations. 2 bills, $200. Needless to say, if $500 in savings is bad, half the amount is outright bizarre. And the exchange rate too, so that'd be like $140 US. With such a small amount of wiggle room, any Canadian of unanticipated hardship, such as a job loss or even car repair, could send an already struggling family into financial despair. Canada's Global News quoted Grant Bazian, president of MNP's personal insolvency practice, which is one of the largest in Canada. He also revealed that 10% of Canadians, the margin of error when it comes to household finances is even thinner at $100 or less. So I read an article a few weeks back saying that, it was actually a few months back, I'm sorry, that the average Canadian has about $68 in their bank account. Now, I'm not just going to pick on the Canadians. Look at this. Nearly 7 out of 10 Americans have less than $1,000 in savings. That's huge. 7 out of 10 Americans, that's like 270 million people. The U.S. often referred as the land of economic opportunity. Apparently, it's also the land of consumption and spend everything you've got. Remember what Tyler Durden said in Fight Club? The things that you own end up owning you. We don't have to look far for confirmation that Americans are generally poor savers. Every month, the St. Louis Federal Reserve releases data on personal household saving rates. In July 2016, the personal savings rate was just 5.7% comparatively. Personal saving rates in the U.S. 50 years ago were double where they are today, and nearly all developed countries have higher personal savings rate than the United States. In other words, Americans are saving less in their income than they should be. The recommendation is to save between 10 and 15% of your annual income, and they're being forced to do more with less in terms of investing. So, what I want to say to that is that if you want to save some money, you want to put a rainy day fund away, some cash, if you could do $300 to $400 a month and just leave it alone, just pretend it's a bill. Just pretend, okay, on the 15th, I get paid. I got to deposit my $400 to my car payment, but you don't have a car payment. Put it in a second account that you don't have a debit card for, but the account exists. It's there. You could go online banking and see it. But don't get a debit card for it. And just keep doing it every month, or do auto withdrawal. And then when someone says, oh, I'm short this week, I can't go out with you guys. Why? I had a car payment. You have a car? It's like, no, it's a savings, but I'm pretending it's for a car. So, you know what I'm saying? And then by the end of a year, 2 years, 3 years, you'll see it grow, and then you can start doing things, you know? Forecasters rates Australians going broke since GFF figures show. More than 7,000 Australians went bankrupt in March quarter, according to the latest figures from Australian Financial Security Authority, showing the fastest rate of Australians going broke since the global financial crisis. Hardest hit were people in Queensland and Western Australia, the nation's once thriving resource-rich states, according to most of the increase in individual bankruptcies. Wellesley Mission Chief Executive Keith Garner said that during the 2015 alone, they had received over 6,000 calls from financially distressed people. Redundancies, falling wages, and sliding house prices were among some of the reasons behind financial distress in West Australia, the booming mining region. I did not know that, but someone had to correct me in an article I read. I'm sorry for it. I did not know that West Australia was struggling like that. So here he goes. Calls for find a better financial education. And I even made a video, I don't know if you remember, a couple of weeks back. I said, hey guys, why don't they just start teaching kids when they get to grade 9 about bankruptcy? Start giving them to write reports and papers about people going what bankruptcy is, what TDS, total debt service ratio, how to calculate your TDS, how to calculate. So basically you have your, how do you say it, thing where he's got it on screen there, so the kids will see, okay, this is my car payment, this is my car insurance, this is my thing, this is my thing, this is my thing, this is my thing. Okay, so then they learn how to calculate their TDS and how much of a loan they could afford if they were to get one. That's fantastic, but they don't do that. I mean, when I was in school, we never learned any of that, you know what I'm saying? So let me know what kind of, if you guys could comment below, I'd like to know, what kind of education did you get in school for when it came to financing? What kind of education did you get when it came to learning about savings and understanding debt servicing your debts, and understanding what happens when you don't pay your debts, and blah blah blah, and you know what I'm saying. I think there should be some sort of schooling for that. I think a lot of people need credit counseling before they get credit, so they understand what the hell or what the heck or what they're getting into. You know what I'm saying? So let's continue here. This is an older article. It's from 2016, but I actually want to share it with you guys because this is nuts. Student loan borrowers seeking bankruptcy as millions in debts wiped out due to insolvency. It says, lady's holding a sign here. It says, 42,162 my student loan. And $7,000 didn't even cover my first year. That's crazy. I'll do a show. Maybe I'll do a show one time about student debt and what's happening with student loans. I think student loans is one of the biggest income earners in the U.S. Like, if you want to gain like the countries have taken control, and the governments have taken control of student loans. Instead of the banks being competitive with each other and the banks working to give better rates to students and stuff like that, what happened is the government became federal and took over the student loans. So then now you can't go bankrupt and you're always having to pay these loans. You know what I'm saying? Overseas, now watch, this part of this article here is actually pretty cool. It says right here, it's blew my mind. Overseas graduates declaring themselves penniless among 483 debtors whose $18 million student loans have been wiped by bankruptcies. Inland Revenues has revealed that the latest figures of the amount owed by students loan defaulting tips over $1 billion mark. The 10 biggest overseas debtors owe more than $300,000 each. Some are dying in debt. Watch this. Ministry of Education figures show that in our year to June 2015, $19 million of student loan debt was written off because of the death of the borrower. That compared to $16 million written off because of bankruptcy. An Auckland-based accountancy website advises graduates, if you are living overseas, a New Zealand bankruptcy may have no negative impact to you at all. Wow. So they're urging people and telling people that if you're living overseas, you're not in New Zealand, it might not, look at this, student loan, bad debt, $1 billion of loan in default has been racked up through plaintiffs' overseas-based debtors of the biggest culprits making up just over $982 million of the bad debt. $1 billion in student loan debt. Wow. So anyways, I kind of wanted to throw that out there and kind of, so much happening in the housing market. I will leave a link below to my my Instagram if you want to message me on there. Some people message me on my fan page on Facebook, but the problem is I get anywhere from 300 to 700 messages per day. I know, it's nuts. And that's on my Portuguese page. I got a whole other agenda with the whole Portuguese side of it. Angola right now in Portuguese Africa is going through elections right now, and the people that are organizing the elections are the ones that are in power right now for the last 35, 40 years. The same party that's been in power, the same president's been in power, is appointing his people to run the election, like to run the whole election. So we'll see how fair that is. So I'm streaming out to Portuguese Africa. Then I got in Mozambique. There are like a couple of, I don't know, hundreds of millions of dollars in debt to the IMF, almost $1 billion or something. Money has disappeared. No one knows where the money has gone. It's really bad. So I got a whole other agenda in the whole. Then Brazil is falling apart with its politics right now in Portuguese America. Brazil is hooped right now. So, anyways, I'm very popular on that side. I really fight for the people living in Portuguese Africa to one day kind of hopefully have a future in the richest mineral land on Earth. Richest countries with minerals and petroleums and natural gases, but the people live like poor, below poverty level. Anyways, guys, don't forget to join me on my housing show that I do, Living the Dream. I did what a lot of these people have done in these articles. I left the major city. And I left the major city 2 hours away, and I live in a cowboy town. And yes, I do have a cowboy hat. It's amazing. The town has got about 8,000 people. It's got a decent, cute downtown area, and it looks all Western. And I'm really enjoying living here, and I'm thinking of opening a business out here and going from there, a retail business, and see how it goes, and just giving it a try, Nothing to lose. And I wanted to let you guys, know that I'm one of those guys, And then when I'm discussing, how people are having kids later now, And it's go back to that one topic again that I talked about. One, people aren't having kids anymore because it's too expensive to have families anymore. Two, people aren't buying homes anymore because it's too expensive. And then people that want to have kids have to leave major cities because they can't afford to. It's a zoo. It's a complete disaster, upside down zoo. And if some people could just step back, look at the whole picture of what's going on, it's nuts. Then you got people drowning in student loan debt. You got people. So it's basically, I think the Antichrist for me is debt. Debt is the Antichrist. And I think that's what's going to consume everybody. Possessions and things. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, guys. Yes, Clayton. Thanks for the coverage, Mike, especially thinking of us down under. Of course, everyone that's in this Commonwealth is hurting because of the free markets. It's destroying the next generation. Imagine, like I said, 3 generations. What's going to happen in 3 generations? 3. We could still be alive 3 generations from now and see what's happening. It's beyond. But I would like to see how people are going to be massaged into believing that, oh, this is okay. And then I bet you 50 years from now, someone's going to read a book and say, from the 1950s, in the year 2050, they're going to read a book and say, oh my God, the wife stayed home and took care of the house and kids while the husband went to work? Oh my God, how was that possible? The wife can't stay home. She's got to work. Who's going to pay the insurance? Who's going to pay the car loan? Who's going to pay the car insurance? Who's going to pay the mortgage? Who's going to pay this? Wow, people in the 50s must have been so rich because the man would stay home and take care of everything, The man could, vacations, pay off the first home, pay off 2 cars, send the kids through college in the 1950s. Wow, the people in the 1950s were so rich. We're in the year 2050 and we can't even pay rent. Anyways, guys, don't forget to go to CanadianHousingBubble.com. Like I said in the beginning of the show, really, really good blog here. You want to upload your blogs or stories or videos that you like. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good night. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. This show will be up in a few hours on repeat and not commercial free, by the way. So watch me live. I'll be back Saturday night, 10 p.m. Tijuana time. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button.